up, Zorro. Don't give it up, Nami. Don't give it up.
Mark, if you comment, mark your spoilers, please. Like, you guys were pretty good about that in Bleach, but seriously, mark your spoilers, okay? Hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast. If you think I sound a little bit different, well, you are correct, because we are live. Hello, Eiichiro Craftsdwarf and my co-host, Mathwiz.
We're here, we're live, and
in LA for Anime Expo, but also for the Nen Show, for the final of the big three that we haven't read, One Piece. Hell fucking yes. Alright.
And just, I guess, apologies for, like, the echo and stuff, because nothing we can really do.
We're doing the best we can. This isn't a studio, it's just our, where we're staying. So if you are unfamiliar with the Nen Show, how it goes is arc by arc. We are reading long-running Shounen series. And shit, I can't cut out the pauses if we're recording live, can I? So yeah, how it goes is every episode we usually respond to comments from the previous episode, but we don't do that on the first episode. So since the first episode, we're not responding to the comments from Bleach because we're kind of new slating it. But we also implore you to read along. So right now we're reading, it's in the title, chapters 1 through 41, and then we'll respond to your comments when we do the next set of chapters, which I don't have written down. What are we reading next time?
It's up to volume 11, chapter 95, I think. So,
but how we usually start first is our personal histories with the series, because with Naruto, we both were familiar with it, so there were no real spoiler warnings. For Bleach, neither of us were familiar with it, except for a couple things, so we tried to avoid it. But for One Piece, you have not read it at all, except for what the reading, and you've been spoiled for some later things, but I do want people who haven't read One Piece before to read along, so I will be doing my best to not spoil anything beyond the current material. Which is hard because I know like One Piece like the back very well, so I know everything. So I just need to chill, just talk about only chapters 1 through 41. So I guess going to the personal histories, I actually have a video on my side channel that's like half an hour long. I'll link that too, of me talking with my more personal history with One Piece. But basically, it's the most important piece of media in my life. So I love it. It's great, and I'm really excited to be rereading it and talking about it. And
I have, like, no history with One Piece. Yeah, like, I've heard a little bit, but nope, this is my first read-through, and yeah, I know nothing about it. It's not like with Naruto where I knew most of it. I know nothing, so this will be fun.
This is terrible. Oh well, we'll be back to normal next time.
Alright, so yeah, I've got
getting right into the discussion.
The manga right in front of me. One Piece starts off talking about this guy. I don't want to lead the discussion.
Okay, you tried. So yeah, Gold Roger, he was executed, but he was like, hey, my treasure, find it, and become Pirate King. And then we get introduced to Luffy, who wants to be Pirate King. But we don't know what that really is yet. Why?
It pulls like a Hunter x Hunter first chapter where like it introduces the younger protagonist, and you gotta get.
There's some weird similarities with this in Hunter x Hunter chapter 1 actually, to the point where I read Hunter x Hunter chapter 1 and I thought it came first, and I was like, oh, this influenced One Piece, but then I realized it came out the manga started later. I'm like, oh, never mind. Because you've got the kid, you've got the adult who inspired him, protecting him from wild animals.
Yeah, so Shanks is
about the dangers of nature. It was weird when I first went into the manga, and I'm like, oh my god.
And then the character disappears, and it's the mentor character. They show up and then they're gone, and they're never gonna come back. Never.
Nope.
Again.
Shanks is gone. He'll never come back.
But yeah, this is like right off the bat, I can just tell like the artwork. It's just that's one thing I noticed throughout reading this is that Oda's artwork is just really, really goofy, really good to be the exaggerated facial expressions, and like this is a good one.
How is his face so rubber when he hasn't even eaten the fruit yet?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like all these characters have rubber faces, even though there's only one rubber boy.
Yes. And of course, Luffy introduces himself by stabbing himself in the face because he's a brave man. He's not a kid. He's a man. He can be a pirate. He's a real man. And which was kind of interesting when later on when Higuma comes in, because you have Higuma's like starting fights. And he's being childish. Like, he's trying to compensate for something, and Shanks is like, no, he's a man. He's an adult. He doesn't need to, like, when the bandits starting shit, and, like, the one he's like, oh, I got a gun. Look at my gun. I'm gonna shoot you, Shanks. And Shanks is like, are you kidding? And there's no hesitation. Lucky just kills the fucking guy because, you know, they're adults. They know when to fight. They know when to kill. Higuma's just a petulant child who just temper tantrums pretty much. Like, Shanks gave him, like, here's booze, you want booze, but Higuma rejected it because he's a little bitch. So, because that's the thing is, like, I've read this material, I own these books, they are pretty worn from constant reading, like, the pages are actually kind of yellowed. I've had this for, like, more than 10 years. I had it in high school, like, a freshman year, actually, holy shit, oh my god. So, I've read it so many times that, like, the later stuff, the Buggy and Kuro stuff, I'd already kind of gotten it, so I didn't get as much out of the reread. But the Romance Dawn stuff I actually liked surprisingly much.
See, this is why you need to lead the discussion, because you can properly talk about it, whereas I'm just like, yeah, these people showed up and this thing happened. This is the contrast between someone who's so familiar with One Piece and someone who knows nothing about One Piece.
Yeah, well, because it's like, you know, Shanks is confident, so he doesn't need to prove himself. But Luffy's like, I'm a man, I'm stopping myself. You know, he's just a dumb kid. But at the same time, there is a difference because the bandit's a coward. He's like he's bullying a child. You know, he didn't start a fight with Shanks, but he did go back to like, Shanks, what a coward, he's such a little bitch. Like, and then of course Luffy got mad at him because, you know, but, like, even when Luffy was, like, obviously outmatched, he still tried to fight Higuma. Like, when they were on the boat, like, he's a double freezer, he can't swim, and he still tried to fight Higuma. Like, and he got wrecked, but, like, you know, so at least he's reckless, you know, he's courageous, but he's also reckless, whereas, like, Shanks knows when not to fight, and Higuma's just a coward, so you got, like, three, like, you know, the two opposites and then the extreme, but then even those opposites are kind of similar in some other ways. So, I don't know, I was surprised. Like, there's like ideas here, cool, that I hadn't noticed before. Even though I'd read the material so many times and watched it. Like, I've seen it in the Japanese and the Funimation dub, probably the 4Kids dub too. Oh yeah, by the way, if he says Zolo, don't bully him too much because he doesn't know any better. He's only read the Viz translation, so choose the name Zolo.
The goddamn Viz translation.
You know,
I'll try to say Zorro. I'll try to get it right.
I mean, because my book is old, but it's the first printing. I don't know if it was the first printing of the books or just the first Jump printings, but they did have Zorro at first, and then they had to change it after 4Kids dub came out. So mine says Zolo, so this is definitely post 4Kids dub, but it's not. It still has my volume 3 has 2 chapter 23s for some reason. It goes 23, 23, 25.
So blame 4Kids.
So 4Kids did that too.
4Kids were in the manga.
All the pirates speak in the Kuro arc. 4Kids.
But then poor Shanks, he has to go in and save Luffy from this crocodile fish shark thing. Sea King.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he loses an arm.
So a few details here is, when Ben Beckman attacks the bandits, he's the first mate guy. I don't know if he's named maybe he was. Because some of the characters aren't named. Like, Lucky Roo is the fat dude. I don't think he's named. And Yasop is named later, but he doesn't do anything. But yeah, so when Ben Beckman fights the bandits, notice how there's only one sound effect. There's only one sound. Oh, it's reversed, so you're not. But he hits them once, and like they all go down. So it's like they're ways like he didn't go whack whack. In the anime, they had multiple sound effects, but in the he wrecked them all in one go. And then I guess a little bit of a thing with Shanks losing his arm, because Shanks is pretty strong to the point. Well, because like what happens right after this is Luffy punches that same Sea King.
Yeah.
So so it's like he's a strong character. Should he have lost his arm to just a Sea King? And like except literally like 5 chapters later, you have Luffy punching Helmet Bow, and Captain Morgan attacks Luffy, and Zoro saves him. Luffy's way stronger than Morgan, but he almost got injured by Morgan. So it's almost like if you're protecting someone, you're at risk of danger. So, and I don't think Shanks is as strong as he is later. Reminders, ooh, Shanks might come back. Woo! So,
see, and that's also a thing. It's like, because you're familiar with One Piece, you can be familiar with
like
the
I'm
arguments.
arguing something that you probably didn't even like. Yeah, Shanks lost his arm.
Yeah, because that's like not even something I considered. Like, why would that be a problem? And you're like, oh no, actually, people.
All the characters are like, things are more piratey at this point. It's like the idea of a pirate changes a little over the series. I guess it's more grounded at this point. And like there's magical devil fruits, but other than that, like the first chapter, they're like just pirates and bandits. Like there's not. The expressions are goofy, but this shit gets goofy, weird, and crazy and wild. So, it's interesting looking back, especially seeing how the character designs have subtly changed. Like, you look at these fucking Nami is like way more cute and adorable than I'm used to.
Oh yeah, and like the thing with yours is you have like, because mine's the little like omnibus thing.
Yes,
I've got like
I
parts of the volume
I
covers.
have the full covers, so.
So you get to see the whole thing. I'm just like, there's Luffy, there's Buggy. Being more about like just the art being good, like that full page spread of him punching the Sea King.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I feel like,
I mean, his leg is kind of off the boat somehow, but don't look too hard. Also, like, Oda's art is good, but like I noticed like if you pay attention to the hands sometimes, especially in small panels, they look really weird. Like, he's gotten definitely better as an artist. But the art's still solid at this point. But yeah, I'm not sure if I had anything else to say. Higuma and Luffy are interesting to compare with how Shanks is in the middle. The scene, the scene of Shanks not fighting in particular gets called back to later, and it was cool. Oops, maybe I shouldn't have spoiled that. So it was a minor spoiler, but yeah, it was good and more interesting than I remembered.
And that was just the first chapter.
That was just the first chapter. Yeah, good introduction.
Yeah, and it's interesting how kind of.
Well, there's like a few different ideas there. There's like bravery and cowardice, confidence, and the dangers of the sea, and they're linked together. It was cool.
I think it's interesting how like just these sort of intros where they'll start like back in the past and show like how the protagonists became who they are now. Like, it happened with Hunter x Hunter too. And, like, because I've compared the two Hunter x Hunter anime adaptations before and how 2011 cuts out that opening episode and instead just jumps right into it. And does the One Piece anime do something similar where, like, they go back to it later?
Not very long later, because how they do it is the first 3 episodes go through Romance Dawn. Like, the first episode is with Coby and Alvida, but they also change the setting, so Alvida's attacking a boat. And instead of an island hideout, and Nami's there. She doesn't have any speaking lines, but she's doing some stealing. So she's around, but she doesn't interact with any of the characters. Then the next 2 episodes are the Morgan stuff. Then episode 4, Luffy and Zorro on the boat after that arc, and Luffy's like, oh yeah, my hat, and goes into Shanks' flashback. And then episode 5 starts the Buggy stuff.
Okay.
But then they skip Gaimon until they move him till after Kuro, so Usopp's there too. So it's all over the place. And I think with Zorro, they do like an expanded backstory episode. So they rearrange a lot, but it's not like with Kite, where with Kite they take him from the very beginning and drop him in the middle of the fucking show. But with Shanks, it's only a couple episodes later, so it's not too drastic a change. So you still get it, but it's and there is more to Luffy's backstory, but that's also something that comes later. Because 10 years is a long time. So he's off on his motherfucking adventure to get 10 crewmates, who would meet a few of them.
I love how the second chapter starts off like you get this page where it's like, oh, what a great day, the weather's so nice and everything looks all fun and goofy, and then who would have thought this would end in disaster? And you turn the page and
giant whirlpool.
Yeah, giant whirlpool. That was good. See, like, so far I think my opinion on One Piece, like after the first 41 chapters we read, is like it's very like it has a good grasp of comedy. Like I talked about Kubo's comedy a bit, but it's better. Like I feel like One Piece has stronger comedy and like it's more comedy oriented. It's hard for me to
comment on because again I'm so familiar with the material. Like I'm so familiar with the jokes. Like like I'm not like. I was expecting to maybe talk about longer on it, but at the same, because I have a lot of notes on that chapter 1, but at the same time, it's just so familiar to me. Like, what do I say? Like, everyone knows this, right? Because I've known it for fucking decades. So,
but I have not.
Exactly.
This is a first for me. But like, Yeah, like out of the big three, I think One Piece has the best comedy. Which I mean,
and it has
only read 41 chapters.
Yeah, exactly.
But it feels more comedy focused than the other two. Like Bleach is more serious. Naruto is more, or at least like what I've read so far. Like a lot of these, like
comparing because I talked about the Coby taming arc.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I apologize if we spoil Bleach and Naruto, but we already have it on our brains, so it's like. Watch the other 40 plus 20 60 80 hours of the Nen Show. But it's like there was the Coby taming arc, and I noted it as like a small like arc of levity in between two bigger things, and One Piece has one like that, and it's honestly it's the funniest it's got one of the funniest volumes of manga. Like it's so good, but it's so it's definitely like goofiness really helps the comedy, but it also doesn't get in the way of the seriousness in my experience. Some people might not like the goofiness or how the character designs get super weird later. That's fine, but I do think it works for the series. Like as we'll talk about when they actually do start to get weirder, because things are already a little weird, but we haven't we haven't seen shit yet. Let me just say.
You do get also in the second chapter. I like how there's the little. Call it a subversion, I guess.
Yeah,
where,
well, it's like Alvida's like, I'm so beautiful, and you kind of see like a face, but then she's actually like fat.
And she's got a more goofy character design.
Yes,
it's cool. I forgot the name for a second. I like Oda's, the tendencies he's starting to display here.
Yep. So Luffy almost dies, and he gets picked up by Coby, a pirate boy who doesn't want to be a pirate. And I think, again, with me finding things more interesting, is because Coby wants to be a Marine, and reading this stuff with the context later from the Marines, because we get to see way more of them, the conflict's definitely interesting. Because especially the first one, because Kobe's like a little. I fucking love Luffy's reaction to Coby, because Kobe's like he spills his fucking guts, his life story, his awful tragedy about how he accidentally ended up on a pirate ship, and if he can't leave or if he dies, and Luffy doesn't give a fuck. He's like, oh, you're a piece of shit, aren't you? I don't care. Because he's he's gutless is how Luffy puts it in this translation, because Coby. He's not willing to stand up for himself. He's just letting himself get walked over. And Luffy, so Luffy doesn't care. But it's like when he's actually willing to, stand up for himself, Luffy defends him, because he's actually, worthwhile. He's willing to at least try to, stand up for, his, even though they're pirate and marine, because that's the thing is the world is this is a world where Morgan exists. He's an official. He's a person of authority, and he ruled over his town completely uninterrupted. This is a world where the pirates and the Marines are they're both kind of shit at a lot of the time. So Luffy and Coby are both genuine people, but here we have Coby in conflict with the Marines. He sees what Morgan is, and he's like, no, I don't want to be that kind of Marine. And Luffy's fighting all the pirates all the time. That's kind of the part of the property. So it's they're good people in a world that doesn't accept goodness, that doesn't reward goodness in the same way. So they're always going to be fighting it, which is good because it's an action series.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's one thing I like about Luffy. To have a shonen protagonist who is just blunt and straight to the point. It's not uncommon, but. I don't know. I don't have issues with that kind of a protagonist. They don't tend to be my favorite, but I don't know. I don't know how to describe it yet. I feel like I haven't read enough One Piece to properly describe it. This is why I like Luffy.
Luffy's one of my favorite characters ever. So
that's just sort of a feeling I have with this first stretch we read, is that I like it, but I also don't have a...
because my thing this is my least favorite stretch of chapters. I love it. It's still great. I'm maybe a bit tired of it because I've just gone through it so many fucking times. But even then, I still read it and I was like, yeah, this is One Piece. There's still good stuff. But this is still there's other arcs that people might say are weaker. I might agree that they're more flawed, though I do want to give them more credit, especially by rereading them. Mm-hmm. But I think even if they're more flawed, they're also more interesting. They have more stuff going on or more to reevaluate. Whereas with these, at least in my brain, I'm kind of now that I've reread Romance Dawn, I'm like all settled basically. So it's like because with Kuro and Buggy, I already figured out what they were doing thematically like a while ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't notice a lot. There's a little bit of extra nuance in there at the points, but not a lot. So, do we have anything else to say about the Alvida stuff? I might have one point, but because it kind of folds into, I guess, a complaint, because kind of how I see it is I feel like Kuro might be like, that's the first what I call a drop point, where I can see people dropping One Piece, because like he's like the fourth antagonist in a row where they're like tyrants who abuse their men. Alvida, Morgan, Buggy, Kuro, all of them shit on their subordinates, and it's like, it is like thematically relevant because they're tyrants and they're oppressing others, and one big idea in One Piece is freedom. Luffy is like, he's with Coby, he's fighting for him, so allowing him to be free as well. You know, same with Zorro. Like if they have something they want to do, and Luffy's like, hey, you know, you're cool, because Luffy connects to people really easily. That's his thing. But so of course when he's in this world of tyrants, and whether pirate or marine, he'll fight them because he disagrees with how they run things. So yeah, it's like, you know, like I would say like Alvida, at least at this point, like Alvida and Morgan don't stand out a whole lot. Like see, Morgan's still really good because he establishes what the Marines are like. He's like them at their worst in a way. So he's a very great introduction to the idea of the Marines. And the next stretch of chapters, especially, or the...
What was really cool that I was not expecting, but I know Oda's going to do this a lot with his characters, from what I've heard, is that it was cool how, like, Morgan shows up he shows up in chapter, 4 or something, or chapter 3.
A little bit later, maybe,
but he shows up there, and, like, he has his story, and it's like, okay, that was a cool little one-off villain or whatever. But then in the Kuro stuff.
Yeah, you recognized it. I was wondering if you did.
Well,
that's really interesting looking, because I only realized this was a little... But yeah, no, he does... Oda... See, that's the other thing. Because with these early arcs, like one of Oda's strengths is his foreshadowing, his ability to call back to stuff and make you go like, oh, shit, it's that thing from a million chapters ago. Like, the stuff where I remember, I've noticed stuff and told my friends, like, hey, that new chapter, did you recognize that character from, like, 300 chapters ago? And they was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, why am I the only one who knows One Piece? But, and this was a smaller scale example. Like, one that we're building up to is Nami mentioning that she loves money and tangerines. Very specific. There's a reason for that. We'll find out later.
But what was cool, it's like in his character design, he's got the jaw thing. And it's like, oh, okay, why does he have that? But then, like, in the Kuro flashback, it's like he got his jaw
stepping on his jaw.
broken.
You're like, oh my god.
That was good.
Yes.
So, yeah, I definitely have high expectations for... I mean, I had, like, based on what you've told me, but I've heard from other people as well that One Piece is popular. So, like... Yeah. This is like what I'm thinking, like if there was ever going to be a shonen story that I would enjoy more than Hunter x Hunter, this has the potential. So like that's a very high bar I'm going in with. So if I end up being disappointed, that's why.
I mean, like if it's a 9 out of 10 as a disappointment, then like that's just, you know, I get it, but at the same time,
not to say that like if I'm disappointed that means it's bad, but like no, so far like this is giving me high expectations. Like this is living up to even just like this small stuff, because like if this little minor character can also tie into something bigger, it makes you wonder, like, what are the serious characters?
What's the stuff that he's had in mind since the beginning? Like, I get you. Well, because like even just like, you know, he ties Buggy and Shanks together. You know, that's like building to something, or you know, I'm building off of what came before. Even if like it wasn't like there wasn't like a reference to Buggy in chapter 1 or anything, but you're like, okay, you know, Shanks is a veteran pirate, and Buggy's a veteran. You know, it makes sense that they knew each other. You know, it's fine, it's reasonable. But anyway, so yeah, I guess I did want to comment on the tyrant thing just because it is, I can, you know, it's a little bit repetitive. Like I do think Buggy and Kuro in particular have things that make them stand out, and some of these characters, I won't say of these 4 villains which ones will, but some of them do recur later and get even more characterization. Yeah, I think it's fine, but I can also understand why people aren't as into it, because you get like this clown pirate crew, and then you get this cat pirate crew, and you're like, okay, what's next? A fucking dog pirate crew? Like, you know, I can see why people might be turned off by the Kuro arc. I still think it's good, but it's like, there's a reason people say like One Piece starts out good, but it gets great. Like, it doesn't start off bad and get good. It's I think it's still good in the beginning. It's just it does get better.
I also like how Oda can create these super serious character designs, and then like even the most serious can have like these goofy expressions. Like that happens with
well, like I just saw the Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan. That's what
when
it's
Luffy
called.
breaks the statue and he's just like, what? He's tears in his eyes, like, no, my statue.
Very good. Very good.
Oh god, yes.
And I remember seeing this scene in I think it was Nun Piece. I think that was the abridged. So like when I was reading this, I was like, "There's the scene. I know the thing." Oh, also, I don't know really how to describe Oda's comedy like properly, but like some of the gags that are here, like there's one where Luffy is running into Morgan's like base, and he's got, I forget how this character. Yeah, so he's got him, and he just like spins him around, and it's like there's that brief. It's just one panel, but it's a little.
That makes it, I think, because Luffy's just like he's just like or wait, I think when he's holding him a hostage. Yeah, because Luffy's expression is just so like neutral, like it makes it because and Helma's kind of like, what the fuck's going on?
And like
it's just that it's like that pause before, like the characters are having a pause before they realize what's happening,
and then it just goes like it's 0 to 60. And
pretty exactly, that's a good way to put it. Yes, just good comic timing. You know?
Very good.
And then
this is I guess what I mean when I say like I think so far I've enjoyed Oda's comedy the most. Because, like, it's got... just through the paneling, it's got good timing. Mm-hmm. And, like, the facial expressions. It's just the thing is, Oda's art style is much goofier in general than... Because, like, even in very serious scenes, you'd have characters who, like, their eyes are popping out of their head and stuff. And it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Though, I will point out, because, like, one thing you'll notice is that Luffy... Like, in the fights... Luffy hasn't really gotten serious yet. He's just been dicking around.
A lot of the characters haven't. Like, that's one thing that kind of bugged me in this stretch of chapters.
Okay.
Bugged, like, Buggy.
I'll end you.
Well,
okay, go on.
But yeah, because, like, there's always, like, some level of, like, the characters are holding back. And
it's just kind of like,
if
I can't beat you with this, ain't shit. And, like, and then he's got no swords in the Kuro arc, and Luffy's just a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck.
And so, like, in that sense, it's a little, like, I know you're holding back, so, like, the tension, like, just, it feels like they're kind of holding back to sort of, like, force this tension in this early part of the story. Like, but, like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, I feel.
Because with me, it's like, Luffy doesn't give a fuck. Well, because with Luffy, there's a meaningful arc to it. Mm-hmm. So, but you haven't seen the end of that arc, like I have. Or at least maybe I've seen more of it to know where it's going. So I actually like it, especially in regards to the power creep, or how the power is escalating. It's at work because the enemies are getting gradually stronger. But Luffy stays the same level for so fucking long. Like, just because of, like, how the powers work against each other, how much he gives a shit, you know, or Zorro, like, Zorro's gonna be handicapped. Like, this is not the first that, these are not the only times Zorro's gonna be handicapped.
No, but you can tell that this is not, like, a Naruto story where it's almost like, was Kishimoto trying to create an underdog? Because it's like,
it's interesting how they're all different, because Naruto's like, you know, he has a lot of potential, but he actually needs to train and realize it and learn ways to use it and also not explode.
And that's kind of the same with Ichigo.
Well, with Ichigo, he already had like intense amounts of power. It's more that he had to refine
how to use it. Yeah,
where Naruto didn't have the abilities to access that power.
He couldn't access it.
So it's less refining it, but it's more tapping into it.
And Luffy he just doesn't use it. Luffy has
all that power. He could use it. He could do whatever he fucking wants. He just doesn't. He doesn't care. Like, that's the thing. He just does not give a fuck. Like, this whole shit. There are moments when he gets serious, but like with Kuro, he once he gets mad at Kuro for attacking his men, it's over in one more exchange. He grabs Kuro and beats him. Like, but with Buggy, he never got mad, so the fight was extended because he wasn't like, if he got mad, he probably could have beaten Buggy in like one final exchange. But he was just sticking around. He doesn't give like, he was like, I'll kick you in the balls. Like, he doesn't care. That's the thing. So I could definitely see it affecting the tension, but I do think it's great in the long run because of how it allows the series to go so long without forcing a power up onto the protagonist.
Yes, so, that is beneficial.
Whereas with Naruto, he was gradually training and getting stronger, and Ichigo was gradually figuring out what the fuck he was doing, you know, which was fine. But it's, I don't know if it. See, I can't think of anything else that's quite done that. So, But I don't want to just say it's unique just because I happen to not have seen it. Because I know 7 Deadly Sins, at least for a while, the main character stays roughly the same strength, but maybe not as long. But, so yeah, anyway, back to the actual arc. They find out that the pirate hunter Zorro is, you know, he was fucking around, and, you know, but he got promised, like, you know, if you stay here for a month and don't die, we'll let you go. And he's like, okay, but then he's like, we don't care, we'll kill you anyway. Well, because it's like, there was one bit I thought was neat where they hear he's in prison, and they hear he's captured, and Coby says, like, oh, well, he's in prison, so he must be a bad guy. Or after Luffy says, like, well, if he's a good guy, I'll let him join my crew. Because it's like, Luffy doesn't care about the system, because that's the thing, he's not a bad guy, but he's in prison anyway, even though he's doing a good thing, because the system is fucked. Morgan's a shithead, Helmut was a shithead, but Luffy, like, Kobe's just so used to, Coby trusts the Marines, he wanted to be one, so he has some level of trust in that system, so he didn't question it. It's almost a little Soul Society-esque there, where they have their system and they didn't question it. Though the difference is that Soul Society is protagonistic eventually, and not at first, and then but the Marines are pretty antagonistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any thoughts about Zorro's character?
I mean, so far so good. Like a lot. That's basically just all these characters. Is like I haven't gotten super attached to, other than like me. No, not even Luffy. I don't think I haven't gotten super attached to these characters yet. But like, it's weird. Like what I was trying to say earlier was that like I'm not super invested in the characters of One Piece yet. But somehow like at the end of each like arc, at the end of each battle, like there's something in there.
You feel
like
it.
I can feel it. Like
I'm almost feeling something, but I haven't quite felt something.
Like I noticed that with his name, the one who shows up in the Kuro stuff. I forget his name now. Usopp, yeah. Like at the end of Usopp's arc, I was like, I felt like this went on a little, it felt like it could have been a little shorter maybe, but still at the end, I was like, still feeling something here. Like, I'm not super like emotionally invested in the characters yet. Like, I won't say, oh yeah, like this isn't like where I just found one character. I'm like, this is my character. Like My Hero Academia, like Deku Chapter 1, it's like, yep, that's my guy right there. I haven't had that yet, but like still, I'm feeling something at the end of each arc, unlike with like, say, Bleach, where I was just kind of like, yeah, this happened, this was okay.
But, anyway, real quick, so yeah, Luffy finds out that Helmut was going to go back on his promise, and he punches him. Well, I think... no, that was later. Hold on, I had a note about that. Oh yeah, I think that was it, because a lot of this arc, the characters are just kind of like like Zorro's like, he was talking about how like he sees piracy as beneath him, but then he ends up becoming a pirate. Kobe's like, oh, the Marines are fine, and he ends up, fighting against them briefly because he doesn't agree with how they run things. And what was it that Morgan said? He thinks he's great. He thinks he's like hot shit. But the thing is he got his like position in part because of Kuro. Mm-hmm. Like that, him capturing Kuro got him a promotion. I think that was even stated in the SBS. So it's like,
yeah,
he thinks he's hot shit, but he's not. Zorro is like, thinks pirates aren't shit, but they are. Coby thinks Marines are shit, but they are the shit, but they are just regular shit. So it's like, everyone's kind of wrong except Luffy, because Luffy doesn't have pretensions. He just calls it as he sees it, basically. So, and he sees the Marines being dicks, so he punches them. Yeah, it's neat. So what did you think about Zorro's flashback? Did you have any thoughts about that? Because that's definitely interesting in retrospect in ways I can't talk about.
Yeah, I was even just looking over it here, and it's just like, because it's there. I don't have anything to say about it yet.
There was a little symbolic thing I didn't notice where Zorro is using 2 swords, and Kuina is using the 1 sword, the white sword.
And now he uses 3.
He's taking on her dream in both ideals and swords. Yeah, I didn't notice that until reading where he's literally has her dream in his mouth. Like now he fights that spot. Also, he has the same shirt.
Okay.
With 3, I don't know why he has the same shirt Kuina does with 3 buttons and it's a white shirt. Like I'm not like you can see he has 3 buttons on the same side.
I don't know. Maybe just
the Queen of Flashback is super interesting. Looking back on it, I'll remember to talk about it when there's little subtle bits that I have had people pointed out to people, and they go like, "Oh shit! It completely changed." Like it's this flashback. Let's just put it this way: Zorro's really fucked up from this flashback in ways he doesn't really understand. Like we see, and he's like, "Okay, he wants to be the greatest swordsman, and she wanted to be the greatest swordsman, and he's gonna do it for both of them because she died." But then it's like, there's some things that happen.
I mean, it's a good flashback. It's just not something that like, on a first time read through, I didn't notice much from it.
And I mean, well, the thing is about the flashbacks is because especially like when they get longer later on, like there's some of the most like memorable parts of this series. This is just like a really short one, so it's like.
Yeah, but that is good that like early on, because sometimes like an author will try to like hold back on details.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about how like early arcs tend to be shorter, you know, because the author is like trying to go from one thing to to keep constant interest until he's gotten that goodwill where he can go all out.
But because that's the thing with Oda is that like I know he's not giving away everything with like Zorro or Nami or Usopp, but like he's giving something to like warrant even just a bit of investment. Like, okay, we know what this character's about. So in a sense, like how Luffy had that first chapter looking into his past and then seeing how he is now, how that shaped who he is, you get that with Zorro, you get that with Usopp. You might have gotten that with Nami. I forget if she got a flashback yet.
No, she has not gotten her backstory yet.
So Nami is the most mysterious.
We were told that she hates pirates, and I forget exactly what she said. I know what happened, but I don't know what she said. That's the thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure there's a reason why Nami has been kept sort of mysterious at this point, which I'll find out later. And anyone else who hasn't read yet will also.
But yeah, they fight. They win. I'm not sure if I have anything else to add. They're both cool. Like I love the panel with they're just posing like you can't see it. It's like posing like cool boys. This one right here, because you don't usually see Luffy looking remotely serious, so it's nice.
It's good.
But yeah, it's like. Yeah, it's good.
And again, then there's more. I just had it.
Oh, and I love the bit where like Luffy's punching Morgan, and Humble was like, "Stop!" and Luffy punches him again.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wait, assault on." But I already kind of talked about that bit a bit. So.
And then they're with Coby, and it's like, hey, we got to go our separate ways, basically. And they just kind of give him the cold shoulder because they're like, hey, if you stick with us pirates, you're not going to be able to, survive in the Navy. Because the pirates and the Navy don't like each other. And
and he fights him, because I think it's also like Luffy sort of like putting Coby in a synchro, because if Coby had become so reliant on Luffy that he let Luffy pushing him away broke him, like he wouldn't be able to be a Marine again, especially because of the pirate connection. But by forcing Coby to get mad at Luffy, he not only like showed that there's no connection between them for the Marines, so they didn't buy it as well. They figured it out, but it's like also Kobe's able to. He's self-sufficient now. He can be a Marine. It's not like Luffy's behind him. Yeah,
it's not like he's going from relying on one person to relying on someone else.
Yes, so he's able to stand on his own feet. He's had a bit of character development. What? There's no character development in One Piece. There's no character development in One Piece.
That'll be good.
I'm sorry, I mean character progression. Let's not go there.
But yes, it's off to a good start.
But yeah, now that the Morgan's gone, they can fight for what the Marines can fight for, what they believe in, and it's all good. So I think, did I have anything else to say? I think I'm done with that's romance done. I got more out of it than I remembered. Even though I've gone through it so many times, but for some reason Buggy and such I had already gotten. So yeah, I guess moving on to Buggy the Clown.
Oh, so that's it. Those first 7 chapters are romance done?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, yeah, because I know Shounen stories will start off with little mini arcs. Laptop, please don't die. Yeah, but the Shounen stories often start off with little mini arcs. That's what made Naruto actually kind of a surprise.
Because it has the first chapter, then it has the team get up, and then it goes into Wave Country, which is the first decent size.
And then after that, it's Chunin exams, which is
a massive size.
And Hunter x Hunter jumps straight into the Hunter exams. So that's also a bit of an anomaly.
Size. Yeah, where Bleach is more of the mini arc thing that I'm. Fairy Tail also kind of has mini arcs for a bit,
But from what I understand, One Piece has a lot. Like when I said Bleach, felt very exhausting because there weren't a lot of small arcs to break it up.
Because even with One Piece, there will be arcs that link together, and I consider them the same thing. But if you still count them as individual arcs, the longest arc of the series is 100 chapters. There's an arc that goes into it, but as an arc, because you can pretty easily divide arcs by islands. That's just how the story is structured.
Yeah.
Like,
But, like,
Bleach, they go back to Karakura Town so often, so there's actually, like, there's 3 arcs that take place in Karakura Towns, you know, so, but with One Piece, there's no arc that takes place in the same, kind of, you know.
And yeah, but with One Piece, there's a good mix. Like, there'll be, like, some longer arcs, some shorter arcs.
Yeah.
Which, it's good.
Mm-hmm. So we find out our characters are fucking idiots. Like Luffy's idea of becoming a pirate is literally just, like, go out on a boat and hope it all turns out okay. Like, he's almost died, like, twice.
It ends up in the whirlpool, and then there's they're hungry, they've got no food, so Luffy just decides to launch himself into the air after a bird, and, this...
Well, because it's like...
This happens.
He gets attacked when the bird's too big. It's like a perspective gag. Like, when you think about it, this doesn't make sense. Like, they should have been able to see that it was a big bird, but it's a 2D medium, so they can only see the in 2D for the joke. Yeah. Because it's just a perspective joke. Like, because I love the panel of Luffy just, like, flying up, and then he's suddenly, like, very tiny. And
yeah. And he's just caught.
Yeah.
And then, because this is where things kind of... they start where, like, the characters will kind of get split up or something to sort of, like, weaken their power. Because then you've got, like, Luffy's he's up with the bird, and then Zoro's like, I gotta try to catch Luffy, and then these other pirates show up.
Yes. Well, real quick, though, I had a realization, like, I feel like there's a potential contradiction here with the first chapter where, like, the dangers of the sea. Mm-hmm. And Luffy's idea of tackling the dangers of the sea is literally just punching a sea king and then just going out blindly. But I'd also say that, like, he did, like, the first thing he says is that he wants comrades, so he realizes that there's things he can't do, you know, but this is actually brought up later, but he's strong, like, he could beat up the Sea King when, like, Nami couldn't, Usopp couldn't, they'd be dead. Zorro could probably stand a chance, though, he's pretty strong, but, like, yeah, there's things that they can't do, you know, they recognize they're failing, so even though they are literally just going out to the ocean and praying for the best, you know, they're also, you know, they're at least aware of their faults. So, you know, it's being addressed, the potential, like, Luffy's not heeding Shanks' words about the dangers of the sea. Like, you know, well, he's not able to do much himself, but he is, you know, so. But yeah, Zorro runs into some pirates of the Buggy the Clown and beats the fucking shit out of him.
And now they're just rowing his boat.
Yes, because, wrecked. And then we see a little... Of course, after they're just talking about a navigator, they're like, oh, hey, we found a boat with a lady in it, and she wrecked us with weather, because she's just that good, and they're like, that bitch, and Zoro's like, hey, she'd make a good navigator, because he doesn't give a fuck.
Yep, they need a navigator, because they don't know what they're doing.
Yes. Okay, so we get to Orange Town, where Buggy the Clown has, you know, taken roost. And, you know, they get a little bit of a situation like Luffy just drops in and he's like, oh, yep, I didn't die.
He just drops in from the bird.
And Nami, the fucking opportunist, she's like, boss! The fucking... she's so cute. She makes a lot of good expressions this stretch of chapters. Like, there were a few faces where I'm like, yeah, Nami.
Nami's good. Nami's cute.
Yes.
Although I think she's one of the characters who gets, like, a weird design change.
All the characters get subtle design changes throughout. Like, if you compare them, like, for chapter 900 versus chapter 1.
So it's not just, like, time skip.
It's also gradual. Like, even before, in chapter, like, 5... No, was it chapter 600? Like, chapter 590, when you see them right before the time skip, they're still looking different from when they first showed up.
Okay, so, that's good.
Yeah, so it is a very gradual... So there's
not an example you'd like, but like in Full Metal Alchemist where Edward Elric kind of slowly changes.
He does, that's right. I remember him getting taller now.
That kind of gradual character change.
Part of it's art design change, and part... Like, Nami's hair gets longer, that's the thing. Like, right now it's pretty short, but by the end of the series it is a bit longer. So, stuff like that is cool. Or before the time skip, rather. I think. I might be wrong in that. But yeah, you said, and then, Luffy fights off the guys who are hassling Nami because she stole a map. And they set up this sort of thematic idea of this arc where, what is treasure? Luffy's hat is his treasure. Buggy wants treasure. He wants money. And Nami wants treasure. And the town is Boodle's treasure.
See, I'm glad that there's two of us here because I did not pick up on these themes.
See, and I've known this shit for like years, so I'm just kind of bored with it. And you're like, oh, that's neat and neat. I didn't notice. I love how they introduced Buggy in such an intimidating way. Like, he looks so, well, I mean, he's still got the big, goofy clown nose, but, like, his first act is, like, murdering a dude who maybe insulted his nose, not on purpose.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it's so intimidating.
Yeah, you've got this page where he's in complete shadow, like, and he's just, like, the black and white shading, and he's just like, oh my god, this guy's a monster. But he's just Buggy the Clown.
Yep. And Nami explains a bit of the situation. I like, again, with the humor, I like little gags, like, where, are Nami and his men really that scary? And it's because he mixed up the name, Luffy just mixed up the names somehow. Like,
I'm Nami.
just dumb. But yeah, we do find Nami's motivation, and again, with the money and tangerines thing, so she's definitely, we find out a bit, like, we get Nami's character and kind of her deal and motives, but without a flashback. So like, he's definitely deliberately avoiding that.
And I think that works with Nami because like she's the most unpredictable character
she's
out of the
mysterious.
group.
She's not part of their crew. Like she's more she admits that she's tagging along even in the next arcs. So whereas Zoro's like, yeah, I guess I'm a pirate now. Because that's the thing is every crewmate kind of rejects Luffy at first, or generally, like, or not always. Like with Usopp, he never asked until the end, but he doesn't just like you're my crewmate now, and they're like, okay, that pretty much never happens, But
no, it's always
that's the thing. He's got to earn them. Luffy has to earn, because they're going to the end of the world. They're going to be fighting the strongest people in the world. Like Zoro's like, I'm going to be the greatest swordsman. And Luffy's like, Pirate King. Like we don't really know what that entails, but like Zoro's like, that's even like we can imagine what being the strongest swordsman in, like one of the strongest people in the world. And Zoro says, Pirate King's harder than what I've got to do. So it's like, oh, okay. So even if we don't really know what it is,
it's kind of vague, like Naruto wanting to be Hokage. Like, what specifically does that entail?
Yeah, they're vague and different. Well, see, like
with Naruto, he's got to like earn the trust of the villagers and
the recognition.
Rather. Yeah.
Well, that's why he wanted to do it, but we still don't know why Luffy wants to be a Pirate King yet. Like, because he started the series at 7 years old. I want to do it, and he wants but his conflict in the first chapter isn't like why he wants to be Pirate King. It's he wants to be a man so he can sail. He wants to be tough enough to go with Shanks, but he's too much of a kid for that. And so now he's an adult with quotation marks. But he's at least strong enough to sail, and he's he's able to he's gathering his crew, but he's gonna earn them. So. Yeah.
And they have to earn him, sort of. Because, like, he goes there, it's not like, I'm looking for this specific person. He just kind of goes there and happens to run into these people.
Yes,
and he's like,
of course. Oh, no, it's contrived. It's almost like storytelling is contrived. Saying... that's why I think earns it, because Luffy, there's a conflict. Luffy does have to earn them to his crew. Like, with Zorro, he had to barter a bit. Like, I'll get you swords, and you won't die. Like, he saved his life, And with Nami, it's going to be a little trickier.
Like, I don't know if I'd call it any more contrived than like any other story.
That's the thing.
Anybody could join his crew if they like are worthy in his view.
Like my thing with contrivance is like, all stories are on some level contrived. So where it's like I can personally have a lack, like if it's suspension of disbelief, it goes over the top. But that's a personal thing. But when I say it's like bad, is when it like breaks rules or meaninglessly makes a contradiction. Like it I can't think of any examples right now, but it happens. That's when it becomes a bit overly contrived on a like if it has to break the rules for the story to go forward, then running over a pothole or something. But this is fine, again, and because it's not like there's a conflict there again, so it's like it's interesting. But so anyway, what's up? You're smiling.
No, it's just when they're going off to head towards Buggy, and he's like, "What's the rope for?" Oh, I always carry a rope. I
just do, and Luffy's just like, okay. He just accepts it. He just accepts it because he doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't care. He's just like, sure, whatever.
And then she just ties him up because Luffy's an idiot.
Yep. Well, and she was trying to be a sneak and get in with Buggy.
Oh yeah, and then Zoro's not around for this because he's with those
he's
random...
only just arriving because the pirates want to get together. But because Nami's definitely manipulative, and there she is trying to be a sneak. So
this shot of her with her tongue out.
She's so cute. She's being a fucking bitch.
Nami's good. I wouldn't trust her with my life, but she's cute.
She is. And of course, Well, because she hates pirates because she's sort of doing what Coby did last time, where Kobe's like, oh, all Marines are good, right? But then he finds out that it's not. Where Nami's like, all pirates are bad. But then Luffy is being kind of a hero, later on, especially. But like, well, because their reactions are different. Like Buggy's like, kill him, I need to get hard, and Luffy's like, oh, you weren't ready for this. You're because she doesn't want to be a pirate, so she's not really willing to kill. Like, she even says that she doesn't want to be a murderer like Buggy, like, because so she doesn't want to be a pirate. Like, it's not like Zorro where he doesn't. Pirates. He's just like, pirates are but Nami outright hates them. So
yeah, and then also like with this Buggy stuff, you get to see that like she's pretty capable of like infiltrating and doing all this conniving stuff, but also you can see how that like can come back to, like, even just in this first arc, you're seeing like the potential of like she's good, but also she can get herself in a lot of trouble with what she does.
Because she's not that strong. Like she can beat up a mook, but
she's good at drinking contests.
Yes, that is true. But then Zorro comes in. You haven't said Zolo yet.
No, I haven't yet.
Zolo counter, no. No more counters. That was not worth the effort.
I just love Luffy in this little cage, and he's just chewing on the bars, like.
Because he just wants to get out. It might work, Because that's the thing. Luffy never really gives up, especially thinking about later stuff. But he's stubborn. That's the thing, and it shows that dude is fucking resilient. That's important for a lot of in a lot of different points. And yeah, there he is. Like, even when he's like literally like immobile and trapped, he's still trying whatever he can do on the off chance it'll work. Like, he's stupid, but he's stupid in a positive way. Like characters in the archetype, like Naruto. We talked about it. He's stupid. That's what separates him from Hashirama in those previous incarnations.
There's a lot of personality, a lot of just like it's goofy, but feels like there's a lot of heart in this story, which that I don't know what that really says.
Yes,
but like,
no, be more vague.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super emotionally invested in the characters, but like I can see that like. I can get there, like, I don't know. It's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, even with Bleach and Naruto, like, we got it more, especially me with Bleach, and both of us with Naruto, we got it more later. Like, the beginning, we were just kind of, Like, it really helps to have the more context. Like, I'm curious as to what we say if we reread Bleach and Naruto, because we're both familiar with it.
Yeah, now that our opinions have changed, well, at least with Naruto.
Yeah.
I don't know about Bleach yet.
Anyway,
he just fires this massive cannon and levels an entire street of houses.
Yep. Oh, I'm ahead of you. I mentioned Zorro coming in.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Buggy's just.
But yeah, because we get Buggy's power, and I always thought it was mildly interesting. Not that there isn't much to take from it yet, but Buggy's power is kind of the like reverse of Luffy's in a way, because Luffy punches and he's also resistant to punching. Buggy cuts with knives, but he's also resistant to cutting. But not that there's anything to take from it, but it's just a neat little thing. Well, because this is the first two real Devil Fruit users we've seen, so it's
Wow, going back over this, there's a lot of cool looking panels.
There are, yeah.
Like just Luffy. I'm not calling him Zolo, but I'm calling him Luffy. But just him just standing there with his swords, looking all menacing, just like.
Nice going, nerd. But yeah, like it's kind of setting up the later stuff where Nami's on their side, Zoro's wounded. Cause
see, the Buggy fight was good because like
the Buggy fight with Luffy or this one.
Well, just the Buggy fight, like the Buggy fights in general. Because I felt like with Kuro, it felt like towards the end it was getting like a little. I wasn't as interested in it, but like with Buggy, you've got like the cool reveal with his.
I think the World Cup's going on.
I think, yeah, and that I guess is over there.
We're talking about One Piece here.
Yeah, One Piece. They're reacting to One Piece.
Yes.
But yeah, with Buggy, you've got like the reveal with his powers, and so like then Zorro gets wounded, and so like in that scenario, it's like obvious.
Well,
like,
it's like he kept his powers mysterious. Like with the guy he killed, he was like holding him up with his hand. Like he didn't see the hand at the time, but you retroactively know how he did that. So it's like he wanted it to be a surprise when he
and like now with Zorro being wounded, like I can very clearly see like yes he is handicapped. It's not like he's handicapping himself. He has been caught by surprise. And plus, like, just the fight with Buggy, with the fight between Buggy and Luffy is very goofy in a good way. Yeah, well, and there was more, like, little technical things, like, with how they were using their powers, like, the way they were dodging each other's attacks, like I'm going to stab you while you're in the air, and Luffy's like, no. Well, it's good because it's a good technical fight, and it's also just really hilarious. Like, you've got, because he can, like, cut his body up, and he's got all these different, like, parts, so Luffy will catch his foot and he'll be tickling his foot. And then there was one where Buggy shot his hand and Luffy like grabbed it and then like separated his wrist and he cut Luffy, you know, and just like little things like that, like lots of small details. It's neat. Yeah. But anyway, I think that's actually probably like my favorite part in the stretch chapters was the Luffy Buggy fight.
That's cool. But anyway, well, I noticed that like Luffy and Zorro have a bit more trust of each, like because Luffy tells Zorro to run. And he knows exactly what Luffy means, because it actually, like, Luffy said run, and Zorro took it as turn the cannon on the Buggy Pirates, and then grab the cage and then actually run. Yeah. So it's like, and of course Nami stole the key, because she's a sneaky. She's also she's the smartest character. No, I think, because in later SBS, in a few volumes, Oda ranks the top 3 smartest characters in the East Blue, and it's actually kind of interesting because, Nami is the 3rd smartest. The 2nd smartest is Kuro. The 1st smartest is Ben Beckman, Shanks' first mate, which is weird because we haven't seen a lot of him even now, like where the series current is. But he's supposedly smarter than Captain Kuro, who was like a plan. He came up with a pretty decent plan. Okay. So Nami's that was my point. Well, because Luffy and Zorro are so fucking stupid, so Nami having like basic sense is like such a. And this was what I meant by like the good expressions, like just her, like she's just kind of like she, you know, there because because Luffy's like or Nami's like, you should get out of that cage or you should be trying to get out, and Luffy's like, yeah, you're right, and she's just like, what the fuck? She's like just little good expressions.
And also cute. Like with. Also through handicapping Zorro with this injury, you can also get like a decent gauge of like how strong he actually is, because Luffy's still trapped in this cage and Zorro's carrying around this cage with like a massive
he's just like, if the guts come out, I'll just push him back in. It'll be fine. Well, because that's the thing you'll see a lot with Zorro is endurance and willpower, like, which is also true of other characters, but Zorro in particular gets it a lot. The dude is resilient. They all are. They both are. Luffy too. But with Zorro, it just feels like he impresses that on the audience more with like the big moments, like him lifting the cage, or later with Kabaji, with him cutting his side. So So anyway, Buggy sends Moji after them, and we get introduced to a tiny small dog called Shushu.
This fucking dog. This was when I knew that like One Piece is gonna be good, because like a dog got like
interesting characterization and thematically relevant too. Yes, his treasure is the pet store, and
it's just a dog. It's not even like it's like a dog man, or no, it's just a dog. It's just a pet. It's not like a major character. It's just this character that's not even. I don't know what I really call the character.
He's a character. He's
just this dog. It's just here, but like it's relevant to the arc. Oda, you can't do this to me. Oh no.
Fixed her. She's better now. But yeah, because the dumb dog eats the cage, and Boodle comes in and explains more of the situation. Because he's the mayor and he wants to protect the town, but Buggy's being a bitch.
Nami, the idiot, tosses this key and the dog just eats the key. And it's like, well...
He was hungry.
More exaggerated artwork on Kubo, which is Luffy strangling... Why did I say Kubo? I'm still stuck on Bleach. With Oda, Luffy just strangling the dog.
Fucking dog. Rest in peace. It's so rude. Luffy's so mean. Dog. That key's gonna have a fun time coming out later. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, the dog's master died and left the store. And
Zorro's injured, so he's basically on the sidelines for a while.
Taking a nap while the lion comes by, and Luffy and Shushu, Luffy's stuck in a cage, but Shushu doesn't run either. I love the gag where Moji's like, "There's no animal alive I can't control. Shake!" and he gets bitten by the dog. So it's not, he can't control animals. He can just control Richie the lion. So
I like how it's just splashed in here. Like there's a panel him being serious, this goofy panel, and then he's just back to like dead face.
Yes,
back to business.
It's just I love how Richie is drawn on that panel because he's more deformed and it's. The lion, because look at he's just on the side, like just watching. And then in the next panel we really see him. He's big and serious again. So and then we get a neat little scene where Moji's like, pet food. We'll eat the food and burn the store because why not? And then the dog fights back. They're willing to defend their treasure. He's willing to defend his treasure no matter what, just like all the other characters. You need to think about that a bit more because that's also true. Buggy. Later on, I guess we'll see. Well, literally with his treasure. So, but anyway, Luffy, he does the thing where he connects to the dog, and like the dog was willing to fight for his what was his, and so Luffy steps in because Moji's a fucking dick, and it just he wrecks him easily. Like this is Buggy's first mate and a giant lion, and Luffy, that's the thing. Luffy's mad. He's serious. There's no. And the fucking panel where he just fucking slaps Moji's shit in, just the impact, the blood. Like I love how the blood is like there's blood where Moji's head was, and blood where Moji's head is, because Luffy just fucking slapped him. It's good.
It's good.
And is this the first time we really see Luffy being pissed off? I think so.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a different side of like I had to think about it for a second because I've seen Luffy mad plenty of times, but this is.
And what was the first character to bring this out of Luffy? The dog.
Yes, he was getting mad on behalf of a dog, but
it's good.
He was able to protect at least a little bit of the treasure by giving him a dog food box, so it was cool.
Very good.
Because everyone has their treasure, but the only ones willing to protect other people's treasure are the main characters. Zorro doesn't really have treasure, but like Luffy's willing to fight on behalf of others, but Buggy, he deliberately went after Luffy's hat. Just because he was a dick, he knew it was Luffy cared about it, and that's explicitly why he attacked it, because he's a cunt. So.
Yeah, and I know one thing I noticed that Kubo did, at least
Oda or Kubo?
No, Kubo too.
Okay, I wasn't
because
sure.
Oda does it too. But one thing I had noticed with Kubo that I never commented on in Bleach because I always forgot about it, and Oda did it too, which is why I'm thinking of it now. Is when a character's in the middle of saying something, and then they'll cut to the next panel where an attack is happening, and whatever they were saying is either being cut off or they're finishing their sentence, and that's just cool again to convey that time that they're being punched in the middle and their speech is being interrupted.
Yeah.
It's good. Sometimes I felt like Kubo overused it because I at least in every stretch of chapters it would happen, and I'd be like, yep, there's the thing, he did it again. So far I haven't had that with Oda. Then again, I've only read 41 chapters, so.
Sorry, you reminded me of a gag where Luffy attacks with it. I think the attack was a Gum Bullet, where it's a close range pistol basically, and he goes Gum Bull, and then you get a whole flashback, a whole half a volume of character flashback. I'll point it out when it happens later, but it's you made me think about that. So it's just it's not even a gag because it's actually a serious scene, but it's when you notice it, you're like, oh,
here's the thing.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Shushu goes back to the villagers and they get tipped off that something wrong. As Moji goes back to Buggy and same thing. Some shit happened and the match is lit. The powder keg is over there and shit's about to blow up. So everyone kind of Nami's oh, Luffy, you're not so bad after all, and Boodle's we're gonna fight, and Luffy stops him because Luffy's gonna fight on his behalf. He doesn't need him to. Buggy fires the Buggy Ball to blow up the town and wakes up. Zoro's just oh, I'm awake now, and Nami's what the fuck are you people? That's just all the little interactions. The character interactions are really fucking good. I'm just I was worried I was gonna do this, but I'm just talking about it because I'm just so into One Piece. It's not I'm sorry if you don't like people talking good about One Piece, don't listen to this because I'm gonna whip out my dick one of these days. I swear.
Although this is the only live episode, so you won't get to see.
You won't notice, but I might.
Also, one thing I've noticed that Kubo does, or I did it again, Oda.
You haven't fucked up Zola with Zorro and vice versa, you know, but
I've been getting everything else wrong.
Kubo and Oda, you're just like same person.
But it was pointed out in the 4th volume, I think, through like some of the responses, that Oda does a lot of chapter pages where it's just like the characters with random animals.
Yes, and he never stops. There will always be animals.
It's good though. Like this one with
that's
Luffy and the bats, very good.
There's one where they're all giant robots for some reason. I don't think there's animals.
And I'm wondering like how much significance is there in that, because I remember like the Sasuke Shoto fan pointed it out, like with Sasuke, like the one panel of him with the snake, and it's like very good foreshadowing for Orochimaru.
Yes, so that means right there.
So that's why
Nami and Luffy are going to become giant robots later. He cracked the code. Boodle goes to try and beat Buggy, but and doesn't work out because he's just an old dude, and Buggy's got a crazy devil fruit. But Luffy steps in because that's Luffy for you. Like that's the thing is like Luffy's. Because Luffy, that's okay. There was a quote from Toriyama about Goku that is completely wrong, because it was in the Dragon Ball Dissection video where Toriyama was like, "Oh, Goku isn't a hero. He just happens to be one, because he wants to fight. So he fights people who happen to be bad." But it's like if you go back to like the older stuff, like he helps Roshi's turtle just randomly, that's
and then like the stuff with
Bora. Yes, that was the other thing.
Because when Bora dies, he's like, I feel like I should.
Goku took it on himself to bring him back to life. Like that's selfless. That's heroic.
Yeah, because
Luffy doesn't give a fuck. Luffy I legitimately think if Luffy but that's why him emotionally connecting to people is perfect, because once he gets them, he'll fight for them, and that's how a lot of the arc started, because otherwise he wouldn't. Like the only reason he's a protagonist is because he exists in a world that he does not gel with unless he fights. So he fights people he's very selfish.
Even then, like you'll have like some of the ways he conducts himself, like with this old man, he gets back up and he's like, "No, well, this is my responsibility," and Luffy just like slaps him and it's like, "Stay out of this." Right, which isn't the most graceful way of getting rid of the guy.
Right. I mean, well, Luffy's not very good with words.
Yeah.
And he probably knew that he wouldn't be able to stop him with words anyway, because he was so dedicated to trying to fight Buggy.
Yeah, but sometimes you'll see characters who just kind of like intimidate people through like sheer displays of power. Mm-hmm. Luffy's just like, nah, just knocks him out.
Like in the first chapter with Shanks scaring away the Sea King with just a gaze.
And Nami's just like, whose side are you on?
Because Luffy's being a dick.
And he was in the way, that's what Luffy says.
Yes. And then Buggy attacks with the Buggy Ball, and Luffy just has the perfect counter because
he's a rubber man.
Yep. And Nami's reaction, she's just like, "What the fuck is going on?" But oh man, see, this is nostalgic for me. This was now we're on to the first chapter of chapters of One Piece I've ever read. These two chapters.
16
and 17. Which is basically the Zorro versus Kabaji. Because I had an issue of Shounen Jump, and I just had these two chapters, and I read it a couple times, and I was like, yeah. And then the weirdest thing is later on when they were airing on 4Kids, I wasn't watching it, but I was flipping through channels, and I just happened to stumble on the exact time that Zorro was using his Demon Slash on Kabaji. So it's like the first two instances of both anime and manga I saw with One Piece was specifically Zorro versus Kabaji. It was fucking weird when I went back to it.
Nice.
So, but yeah.
And you get the fuzzy guy comes back, and then he gets kicked away, and he's just done.
Yes.
He's gone.
And Zorro fights. See, I like the thing with Zorro is he fights tricky guys. These two arcs, and I'm like, okay, see that my thing with Zorro in general, you'll find this out. Maybe he has better fights than I remember, but overall, his fight, he gets a lot of fights, and they're not usually very good. Part of it is because swords, it's hard to do technical things with swords a lot of the time. So with Zorro, a lot of his enemies have to bring the technical aspects of the fight. Kabaji's bringing a lot of shit, and Zorro just has to kind of react. But that's kind of it. He just kind of reacts. So it's the interesting aspect of the fight comes from Zorro being wounded, his handicap, and he's just I refuse to lose to a swordsman, and if he recognizes the Kabaji isn't shit, so he wounds himself even further just because But it's I don't know. I didn't take a lot more from it than that. Like, it doesn't really fit into the treasure idea any. It's just a fight, kind of, for the sake of having a fight almost. Which isn't, like, it's cool, but, yeah.
Yeah, not everything necessarily needs to tie into that theme. Like,
it would be nice for things to be thematically cohesive, but, like, even is there even a theme? Just, like, endurance and willpower? Like,
what is Zoro's treasure, like, other than being the best swordsman?
His actual swords. But, so in other words, it would have actually been more if he lost his swords in this one and was wounded in it, because he loses his swords in Kuro, but,
or maybe like his treasure is his pride in being the strongest swordsman, and that's why he's got to beat the guy.
Sure.
Let's go with that.
Okay. But yeah, it was it's a fine fight, but it's like Zoro's had better. Like, and I'm thinking ahead, and I'm just like, oh, like some of these fights are just get to dig into that, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I guess there was a little bit where Buggy tries to go in, and Luffy
just steps on his hand.
So like they're willfully like Luffy and Zorro are willfully doing one-on-one fights. Like,
yeah, that's what I think makes it perhaps a little. If I'm not super invested in the fights, they feel a little more tedious. But I mean, I complained about that enough in Bleach.
I mean, I do think, especially like I'm thinking about later arcs, and the fights turn into one fights with more organically, So like there's one arc in particular I think it's really well done, but I don't mind it personally, but this was it was a fight. And the other thing is, like, as I mentioned before, how like you see a lot of like Zoro's like willpower and endurance. So it's like this is just another instance of that. So it's like, what separates this from any of the later instances? I'm like,
I like how though when the fight ends, he's just like, Luffy, I'm gonna sleep now.
I'm gonna go take a nap. Yeah, because it's like as far as introducing us to the character, this is kind of like for Zorro what Morgan is for the Marines, where it's just like it introduces it to you, doesn't do much else more, but it's fine. Like, you get more of Zorro. Like, now we know about, like, I don't think he talks about, because that's the thing, is he doesn't want to lose to a swordsman ever, because he wants to be the best. So obviously he can't lose, So, and that does come up more later, but yeah, they finish, and Luffy fights Buggy, and yeah, this was definitely fight I was more interested in, because again, like, I liked all the technical stuff, like we kind of talked about.
Yeah, I pretty much gave my thoughts on it already.
We're jumping around a little bit. So I guess there is kind of a teamwork friendship bend into it, because Luffy willfully kept Buggy out of the Kabaji fight, and in this one, Buggy didn't willfully keep Nami out of his fight against Luffy, because she was trying to steal a treasure. And he was like, that's my treasure. Like, and I mean, that's because his idea of treasure isn't personal. Like, Nami wants gold so she can buy a town. She doesn't really treasure. She just needs it. It's more of a tool for her. Luffy's hat, Boodle's town, Chushu's pet store. Like, those are all personal. So Buggy doesn't have. He's not fighting for anything. He's fighting. He's just fighting basically. So, and that kind of carelessness, he dragged Nami into a fight that he wouldn't have won anyway, but he still got fucked. So, because he's just greedy, that's the thing. Like, that's like his goal. He just wants money. I don't think he even wants to be Pirate King. He just wants money. So, because he's just like, yep, we're going to go sell the seas and get lots of gold and treasure and stuff. But, and he does have a thing with it, like, And I guess that's the thing, is because his treasure is so ill-defined and impersonal, like he's just greedy. Like, there's no, so, and that's because that's what fucked him over in his flashback. Which, what'd you think about the Buggy Shanks flashback?
Yeah, that was more interesting, I think, than the Zorro one. But yeah, it was kind of interesting how he, like, just like as a joke, like, he got this fruit and he's like, I'm not actually gonna eat it, but then
because he was trying to scam it, but then he ended up actually accidentally eating it anyway, because Shanks spooked him.
Yep.
And yep, because that's the thing. He was trying to be greedy and make off with everything, and he lost everything in the process. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rest in peace,
Bubba. I love how, like, he's so mad at Shanks, but Shanks was only trying to, like, help him, and he saved his life. But he's just like, that bitch, and Luffy just points it out to him, and Buggy doesn't care. Well, there was one line that I thought was interesting when they're drinking together. Underage drinking. They're only like 15 at this point. Yeah, well, because Buggy's talking about how like they're, that's it. Shanks says that being a pirate is all about going your own way, which is the freedom thing. Being a pirate is being free. But I also thought it was interesting the way he Buggy says that if we cross paths, we'll have to fight, and Shanks says he's like agree. Well, because it's interesting because you don't see his eyes when he says that for some reason. That's what interests me about it, especially. So he's like, so, and I guess the way I see it is like, to be free, you have to tramp on someone else's freedom. That's the thing. So it I'm not free to punch Mathwiz in the face because there's societal rules and our friendship to consider, So your existence is trampling on my freedom, but also my existence is trampling on your freedom for the same way. So it's we'd have to fight if I wanted to be more free than you, I'd have to fight you, basically, or otherwise tramp over your freedom. So, and
okay.
So Shanks is kind of talking about that idea. And I just thought that was mildly interesting, but I'm also connecting it to later ideas, so I won't go too...
I was going to say, I didn't get any of that.
Buggy is, he finishes the flashback, they keep fighting, Buggy attacks Nami and gets her involved, which ends up fucking him over, and Luffy's goofing around, he's just kicking Buggy in the balls, tickling his feet, he doesn't give a fuck. No one gives a fuck. But yeah, so it's Buggy overvalued something that he can get anywhere. That's the thing, he's trying to protect something that's honestly without value in a way. It's because I guess that's the idea of the arc, is treasure is more than just value. And so,
although perhaps it is a little weird that
it's value. What's up?
Perhaps it is a little weird that Luffy was so upset about his hat getting
damaged. Yeah.
Yeah, but then he's just kind of goofing around. But maybe, I don't know.
I think
that's to show that Buggy is so far beneath him that he doesn't even consider.
Well, I don't think he was expecting to get hurt until it happened. And then Buggy went after it deliberately. So yeah, but yeah, they got the treasure. Nami wants it because she needs it to buy the town. And what are you? I'm ahead.
Yeah, I just. More humor. It's just his body gets put back together. Now he's a tiny man.
Yes. Oh yeah, and we do kind of see later. Do you remember the cover pages from the Crow stuff that had Buggy on them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. So, that was fun too.
Yes, cool. Because basically, One Piece loves to have cover arcs where
I know that's the thing Oda does.
Yes, every chapter has one panel and maybe a bit of text for an ongoing story. We're not really going to discuss them because how I'd rather do it is because a lot of them come back. That's the thing, is we're seeing Buggy in the cover arc, there will be things that happen in the cover arc, and we'll see the results of it later. Minor spoilers, Buggy does come back and beyond the cover arc. So I just want to say that we're generally not going to talk, because there's not really much to discuss. Cover arc things sure happen, but when it comes back, I'll point out that's
so it's not like the stuff that Kubo would do at the end of his sort of chapters or volumes, where he'd have a little.
Yeah, he'd have
the
little sketches where they didn't matter that much, but they were fun. Or with these
are
they're not really fun, but they also will matter. So we'll next stretch of chapters we'll finish the Buggy one, and yeah. So yep.
Is Oda a god? Find out.
But yeah, the villagers come by. Luffy is brutally honest. He's yeah, I beat the shit out of the mayor, sorry. And then they chase him. But it all works out. The Buggy pirates were waiting on the ship, and then they see Zorro and they lose their shit. And they get thanked, and they move on. And yeah, I think that's all we have to say about Buggy the Clown. Or do you have anything more to say?
No. I mean, it was a very good arc, I think.
I liked it. I mean, I also liked it the other dozen times I've read it. Just saying.
I definitely preferred the Buggy stuff to the Kuro stuff.
Okay, I'll decide at the end. Because it's actually pretty close.
I guess it depends what I'm talking about, because
in different ways, yeah.
In different ways
too. I think I like the fights and the Buggy stuff better.
I like the comedy in the Buggy better.
Mm-hmm. But Kuro's still pretty good.
Yeah. I think I like Buggy better as an antagonist than Kuro.
That's fair. We'll talk about Kuro.
But maybe it's more the stuff surrounding Kuro is more interesting than the stuff surrounding Buggy.
Yes, in Jump, Shounen Jump, Cut. because Mathwiz' phone only has a limited amount of space.
Yeah, and it would have cut us off anyway. We're in control.
So back to the discussion, which we left, but you didn't leave because you're still watching. Now we get to a little very rare kind of chapter. Actually, this might be a unique chapter in One Piece, since maybe not unique if you count chapters 1 and 2, but so maybe not. But it's definitely because this is like a standalone 1-chapter story, and this is the last one. We never get something like this again.
This
is just a standalone little adventure. It introduces a new character. It sets up a conflict. It resolves the conflict. This never happens again.
I was gonna say normally that happens like very beginning of the story. Like Naruto had a couple of one.
Like
chapter.
the Konohamaru one, and this one kind of had. Well, it was even like with the Alvida stuff. It led into the next stuff.
Yeah.
And the flashback was kind of led into the Alvida stuff. Like because he was.
Yeah, like it led right into.
But this is
Morgan.
just like they're on the like you could almost cut it out and nothing changes. Like, I mean, it does get because it's really not that significant. But it gets referenced later. But I wouldn't say it. Well, like
it's not like it directly ties into the Usopp.
Yeah. Well, like because it's it's got this little idea. It's very much like the Hunter x Hunter thing where it's like the journey is about the little things, not because it's like he wanted the treasure. But because the way I see it is like even if Gaimon got the treasure, I don't think he would have left the animals. That's what he came to truly value. So it's like it wasn't the destination; it was the little detour. So kind of. Know? But though I guess like you get the world building, like you see the map of the world, and you see, like the red line is basically like the prime meridian. The Grand Line is the equator, if you think about it. So they gotta get to that.
There it is again, the Grand Line. What could it mean?
Yes, what could it mean? It's a stretch of ocean.
Also, you get a nice little gag at the beginning of the chapter where Nami fixes Luffy's hat, and then Luffy's just
what could go wrong? Yeah, dumbass.
Yeah, it was a good little chapter. I liked it.
Yes, and well, I guess there's like a theory regarding this where it's basically the idea is that it's a microcosm of the One Piece itself, where you have a treasure that's out of reach and might not even be there, and you have like for 20 the characters think about it for like 20 years. With the One Piece itself, no one knows if it's even
and
there.
One Piece has been going on for 20 years.
True, though I guess the thing is that like. Well, like, basically, there's a video by Mr. Morge, which I would not recommend watching because it's filled with spoilers. I would recommend watching his channel if you are caught up, though. But
let me back the camera up. It's had.
He has a video on Gaimon where he basically talks about his idea was that like because there was no treasure there, the One Piece is not treasure, and that it's something that you expect. But I don't really agree because there's just literally no treasure there. So I feel like maybe at one point there was not supposed to be a treasure. Like the treasure was friendship, but Oda was like, if I do that, I'll die. My fans will kill me. So cause there is a treasure. Like there has been confirmed in interviews and later events. Like characters have said there's a treasure. So yeah, I don't think it's quite equivalent. Like maybe it was at one point, but isn't anymore. But because I do think Morge's idea is a little bit of a stretch, just because it's like, oh, it's not what we'll expect his treasure to be, but it's like the last arc just did that exact same thing. Of Luffy's hat is his treasure, the town, the pet store, their treasure. So it's like it's not a really surprising idea. It was literally the previous arc. So it's like, it's not bad observations. It's just like. I don't fully agree with them, so it's fine. But I don't really have much else to say. Gaimon is a guy. Luffy's a dork who sees like a lion or a pig with a lion's mane and he's like, yeah, that's a lion. Just it's fine.
Then we get to the good stuff. Then we get to Usopp,
a new character. Well, I guess I feel like Oda might be trying to like throw like curveballs a little bit because that's the thing is like last arc we need a navigator. Find a navigator. We need a ship. They get a ship and a marksman. The marksman comes along with the ship, so like because he's got the slinger and he eventually. He uses the cannon sometimes, but not in the stretch of chapters.
He's got that slingshot.
But yeah, we introduced to Usopp the liar, who is infamous rather, on the town for lying about how pirates are coming, and we find out why later. That it's actually like, oh,
it's like tied into the backstory and tied into.
Because he misses his dad, and his dad pulled a jing and just fucked off, and Usopp wants to follow him. So I just realized that. I only just realized that. How like they're because
Usopp is
well, that's the thing. Usopp doesn't really want to find his dad. Like Usopp's goal is to become a brave warrior of the sea. He wants to not be a coward anymore.
Yeah.
Like his goal is literally to have character development. But
I thought One Piece characters didn't have character.
No, shut up. You mean character progression? No. But yeah, it's we get introduced to him. He's got a pirate crew, little pretend pirates, and they are goofing off and being kids. Because that's the thing. Is like the characters are pretty close in age. Luffy and Usopp are 17. Nami's 18 and Zorro is 19. But even then, like Luffy and Usopp are the most childish of the characters so far. Because like Usopp's been stuck. Like Usopp, his parents died and he's been hanging out with his kids, so of course he's kind of childish. And Luffy, the last 10 years he hasn't had a lot of human interaction, which is a minor spoiler, but it makes sense.
Luffy is just Luffy.
Luffy is Luffy.
That's all you need to know.
Luffy is Luffy. But Usopp's also a chronic liar, and he says he's a proud captain, and that's definitely interesting. In like his lies, like I was looking for a groundhog, or there's a giant goldfish. And there's like a boy who cried wolf thing where he's like, like he finds out about. Did you see that coming? By the way, Kuro Clawhador being a dick, like, because this is your first time going through.
I mean,
like when you see him, where you're like, this guy's definitely evil, or.
I mean, like he could have been, he could not have been.
Okay,
like just looking at.
You weren't invested enough to be. Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's like what, a couple chapters.
It wasn't like a whoa, what a twist moment, but.
Yes, well, because One Piece does have twists that are like, and reveals even like even this volume there might be something that I'll mention later. But it's like, yeah, that was like, because that's my thing. It's like so much of the series has become ingrained within me. Like they're not twists anymore. I know. Like I see Clawhador and I'm like, it's that Clawhador, claws. He's a bad guy. Because he's also Captain Kuro, and it's fine. But it's like, because the arc is kind of about lies and bravery versus cowardice, because they're both liars, but like Usopp's lies are well-meaning and Kuro's lies are poor meaning, and then Kuro ultimately doesn't want to be a pirate. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a coward, but he's definitely not very resolved.
Because he like rejects his whole past as a pirate.
Right.
So.
Whereas Usopp's a pretend pirate, but he has more resolve towards being a pretend pirate than Kuro has resolve for being a real pirate. So in a way, that's what Luffy says. Like you couldn't beat him. In a way, Usopp is stronger than Kuro, even though he's very weak. Like that's the thing. I think Oda's mentioned in interviews that Usopp will always be the one closest to a normal person. Like even then, he's able to like he fights off the guards kind of, and he fights off some of the pirates. So he's still like, now that's the thing. Nami and Usopp are the weaker members of the crew, but they're still above the normal person. Yeah, it's just like next to Luffy and Zorro, they look like they're chumps because it's fucking like Luffy like grabs the prow of the ship and just rips it off the cat thing.
That's like when people try to compare like, Krillin or Tenshinhan or Yamcha to like Goku or Vegeta, because it's like they're not weak characters, just like compared to
Krillin could probably blow up the planet
story.
if he felt like it, but he's not going to, obviously, and he's never had an opportunity to really shine.
Only like the difference maybe hopefully here with Usopp is that like he actually gets stuff to do later.
Usopp does definitely get stuff to do, yes.
And doesn't just become a background character who just does nothing.
So we're also introduced to the one true pairing of One Piece, Usopp and Kaya. They are
the one true pairing.
Yes.
As opposed to the fake pairing.
Yes. She's a sick girl, but she's rich. And she's got a butler who's secretly evil. The butler did it, unfortunately. Yeah, because Kuro, he tries to get under Usopp's skin. He's like, your dad's a filthy pirate, but Usopp's like, he's not going to lie about that, so... Yep, and Usopp gets... Well, because that sets up for later, because when Usopp comes back and he's like, Kuro's a pirate, and they're like, you're lying, because you're mad at him, because he was talking shit about your dad. Because, like, the scene where he goes in to comfort Kaya, he's, like, acting like a father figure toward her, and he seems so, like... He's so fucking good at lying. Like, see, that's the thing, is, like... Usopp's actually kind of a shitty liar, like, because he's like, I have 8,000 million men,
Yeah, 8
and
million
Nami's
men.
like, shut the fuck up, and Usopp's like, how'd you know that I didn't have actually? He's such a stupid. But Kuro's like a good liar. He's like reading the scene like there's nothing off about it, and then then turns out, oh, he's actually a fucking bitch. So. Oh, and Django, he was just a dork. And then we kind of, we get the connection where it's like this is actually the second time Shanks and his crew have sort of come back to, like...
But this was, I guess, like I mentioned it with Morgan earlier, but this was the first instance of it actually happening, because you get the not a flashback of Usopp, but you get a flashback with, like, Luffy meeting Usopp's dad, and then if you go back to the beginning... He's there.
Yes.
He's in the first
he's
chapter.
Very much there, so
he's right there.
Yes.
And then he's right there.
Yeah, he's even got the Yasuo headband very much clearly. I didn't even think about like, oh yeah, it was there because I've always known. Yeah, that's the thing.
So that technically happened before the Kuro.
Yes. And it was unlike the Buggy one where it's like there's nothing in the Shanks stuff to imply that he knows a pirate who happens to be called Buggy the Clown, but with the Yasuo, it's like, oop, there it is. He was there and. They connect a bit over Shanks because
Oda has earned my trust by this point.
Yes, because that's the thing is like, especially with the recent stuff, people are like, "Oh, this thing hasn't been resolved yet," but it's like Oda's shown that he can resolve shit. Mm-hmm. He's shown that he'll build. He definitely has my trust. Like, I expect that unless something happens, he'll get to it eventually. Like One Piece is a slow burn in some ways. It's also a fast burn in other ways because it's got the individual arcs. But it's like he'll get to it. I trust him. And I hope he doesn't betray that trust. So, but yeah, Usopp and Luffy are connecting a bit, and Mathwiz is winning in everything.
Sorry, I noticed this is a little off. I feel like I just put it... Are you
blocking Chica? You can't do that.
Oh no, I feel like I just put it right back where it was. But then we get...
Yes,
chapter 26.
They overhear the plan.
And
Kuro's like Luffy dies. And
see, you're looking into like all the plot stuff. I'm like, look at all this goofy stuff happening. Like Luffy gets hypnotized, falls off a cliff, should have broken his neck, but he's a rubber man.
Rubber man, right? I didn't know that. And
also Luffy's just dumb enough to get caught in the hypnosis.
Well, I love how it builds into what happens later when he hypnotizes his men and Luffy gets caught into it too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, Luffy's an idiot. Of course that would happen. Just the kind of. It's a good. It's like that's the thing. It's like a setup, but you don't know it's a setup because and then when the payoff happens, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like there it is again.
Yeah, it's a double layered setup in that it has. It makes sense in this moment. Django's trying to put Luffy to sleep, and Luffy's just stupid enough to get caught into it. But then it happens again later, and you're like, of course, So
then you've also got the little gag of Django hypnotizing himself.
Of course, regularly.
Though that wasn't the setup, that just happens.
It's just a gag, yeah. Well, and like even during the flashback, he's like, I killed Captain Kuro, or captured Captain, and he's just an idiot. But yeah, Kuro, with Luffy, he's like, yeah, he's got to die. But with Usopp, he's like, he knows that Usopp's not trusted, so to speak, and he's just like, even though he's a smart guy, he's like. He just knows that Usopp's, and that's what happens. That's Usopp goes. He's the boy who cried wolf, and it all goes wrong. And like that was a good scene. I like when he's trying to pull Kaya away, and she gets mad at him because she's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" But like he's genuinely trying to help her. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was
it's sad.
Like because he's actually like fighting off her bodyguards when normally he's been like harmless, and.
But then you can also sort of draw, like, on the topic of comparing those, like, Kuro and Usopp, you have, like, Kuro has all these henchmen to, like, sort of do his bidding for him. So, like, not that he's, like, hiding behind them, but, like, he
definitely doesn't care about them. Like, he starts killing him later. Because actually that was part of his plan. He was going to kill everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas Usopp relies on his... Because he tells them to protect Kaya, so, yep. Oh, and also I was realizing, because I was flipping through again, and, like, Luffy's, like, Luffy tells Zoro, Nami, and the kids about the attack, And Luffy's reaction isn't like, we gotta stop him. It's, we need to get meat before the town gets evacuated.
Yep.
Like, Luffy doesn't care until after it becomes a matter of like because he like later with Kuro, he's like, I don't, there's a person in this town I don't want you to kill. Like, Luffy only really cares about Usopp. He doesn't care about the village. Like, if not for Usopp, Luffy would leave and everyone would die.
Usopp is to Kuro what the dog was to Buggy.
Yeah,
sort of.
Basically, yeah. Where it's just Luffy being, he's not a hero. He just happens to do heroic things,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I just realized that, like, there he is basically saying that, and of course it has to do with meat, which is a thing that comes in later that only I know about. But yeah, Usopp, he decided, like, even though he's like completely outmatched, he's still going to, like, that's the thing, is they don't decide to help him until after he says he's going to fight. It's still the very Luffy thing where he, like, if Usopp was like, I'm just gonna run on my own, Luffy would be like, well, you're a shithead and I don't care about you. But no, Usopp's not like that. He's he's a protagonist, so of course he's not gonna be like that. So Luffy's like, you're not strong enough to fight, but I'll help you because I like you.
Yeah, because he's got the guts.
So it's, I can see, it is a little repetitive in ways, but like at the same time the arc is dealing with it because it's also Usopp's bravery and cowardice, like, because that's his whole thing. He is a coward. Like, he's afraid. His knees are shaken. He actually gets in the fight, and he's, he is afraid, but he's still fighting. He's still brave.
And he even, like, he told his little pirate crew to, like, nothing's wrong.
Yes, he's keeping them out of harm's way because they are just kids. So.
Yeah, keeping them out of the fight, keeping the village out of it.
Yep. And they set up the trap. It doesn't work because they're idiots. They just assumed. But
see, this is one of the gags of, like, keeping, how do I want to phrase it? But like how Nami falls into the oil slick and like just drags.
Well, that's kind of like, because that's another thing that, because one-on-one fights happen and the main character, especially Luffy, gets out of the action. Like with Buggy, there was nothing really keeping him out of the fight. He just chose not to fight. But with this, he got lost. First he got lost, then he got not put to sleep by Janko. Yeah. So he's like out of the fighting until Kuro gets here. So he's like, he's addressing the sort of like, Luffy can't just be standing around while all the other characters shine. But because that's the thing about Luffy, is he goes forward, he just charges forward, he does shit. He's a man of action. So it's like really, like he just kind of let the Zorro fight happen. And that was kind of rare. Luffy, because again, Luffy usually acts. So I feel like this arc is Oda realizing that and sort of finding ways to keep Luffy out of the action, as we will see time and time again, because the other characters have to shine too. Luffy can't just do everything. Were you gonna say something? Because you're skipping ahead.
Well, yeah, because just like I don't know, because this is a fight where I kind of got a little.
Which one?
Max, it seemed like this fight. I guess there are a lot of fights, but to me it just felt like one big fight.
There's like versus the pirates, then Zorro and CM and Butchie, and then the last. Well, because the last encounter, because I mentioned this ages ago. Remember how I was talking that how with the Gaara and the third Hokage, they had the fight end at the same time? Except the issue with that was that the third Hokage stuff happened, and then like a bunch of other shit happened, and it's like, oh yeah, the third Hokage's. And then I also said like, oh, the Kakuzu and Hidan stuff maybe should have been like that. Well, this is what I was thinking of, because this is a bit of a stronger instance, because with Kuro and Django get taken out at the same time, and they build up to sort of both conflicts. Because I mean, with Usopp,
that was pretty good.
With Usopp, it wasn't really a fight per se, so which is why it was able to work. So he just sort of it was more getting there, because he took out Django in one hit, but there was still him. So it was like you had the skipping way ahead, but it's like I just wanted to point out, like, that's the moment I talked about, like the foreshadow. See, I foreshadowed it back in the Naruto Nen Show, and now here's the payoff. And I get to, like, this is the moment I was talking about way before. But anyway, before we get into the fighting, there was the bit with Kuro. Well, because before he was talking about Django, I'm a pacifist now, but that was like at the same, like, that's the thing, is like, even though he's he wants to reject his pirate self, like he's like, oh yeah, the crescent moon turns me into, like, he hasn't given up on being a murdering pirate. Like, it kind of contradicts like everything. Like he's just killed Mary, like that. I don't see how that helped. Like, maybe if they ransacked the town. Yeah, that's the thing. He failed. So which is like weird because they're like talking about like, oh, he adjusts his glasses like this. That means he hasn't lost his edge, but then he fucked up.
I didn't particularly get that. It's like, okay, yeah.
Well, it's because his it's because
I get it because he's got the claws,
right,
like so he doesn't want to scratch himself because like he's still got the claws.
That's the idea. Because if he adjusts him like this, that means he's lost. He forgot. And it's funny because I actually used to adjust my glasses like that. I definitely have done that before. This was not the first time I adjusted my glasses like that.
That was the first time I did that.
I mean, I've been more familiar with the series, so it's like, I think...
Yeah, it was a fine detail.
Yeah, but it's like, well, so he's kind of like, I mean, I'm not sure... Well, I guess he did say that he'd gone soft, because with Sam and Butchie, he was like... normally he was like, I guess I have gone soft. You have several minutes to kill Zorro. So he has kind of, like, he's both gotten soft, but he also... hasn't fully rejected his pirate nature because like he did try to kill Mary on his own when that is completely against what he's trying to do. So it's like there's not just lies but also like just a lack of understanding of himself. So I suppose because that's the thing, he told Django, I'm a pacifist. Then he tried to kill Mary. That's not very pacifistic, bro. What the fuck are you doing? So so there is a bit of a contradiction, but I don't think it's like I think there's at least a little bit of a meaning in it. So because it feels fine to me, I guess. I came up with explanations I'm satisfied with. But I might just be reaching because I like One Piece so much I gotta defend it. There's definitely shit that I'm gonna shit on One Piece for, but like moments, not like every arc is good. Like this is, like I said, this is my least favorite search chapters. Maybe in part because I just read it so much, but yeah.
I think probably like my least favorite part of the stretch of chapters was when like the cat people showed up and had their fight.
Yeah, that's why kind of the shit where I say like this is the drop point because they're like goofy and it's like and Zorro getting another fight against tricky guys and it's like like I could see people saying like this is repetitive and I don't like it, but it's like there are other ideas here and I'm fine with that. And the next arcs are good and like they're and I'm almost more excited to talk about the next two arcs than I am this. So even though we're because I'm less familiar with those, I think by a bit, but like I haven't figured them out in the same like with this I was like treasure and lies, and then I go back to it, I'm like okay there's other stuff there but it's still mostly treasure and lies. But with the next arc I'm like I don't know, find out. So hopefully there's more to unpack there than I remember. Anyway, but yeah, they fight for a bit. Usopp and Nami get there first. They hold back the pirates. It's fine. There's gags. They're all idiots, but they're all tough, and they're fighting. Like Usopp's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's still fucking, like, they both are. It's just, but, And then Luffy and Zorro come in, because they finally stop being dummies. Fun stuff, like Luffy gets taken out of the action, as per usual. Kaya finds Mary, and, again, Zorro... Oh, that's the thing, because it's like Kuro... did I already mention it? Where it's like, Kuro lying, basically, like, he's a pacifist, but not really, like, he kind of fucked himself, because but he also, because he went soft, so... But he thought he didn't, but... Kuro's a little... He's interesting, but his motivation is different. Like he just wants to not be a pirate. He wants to live he specifically wants to live a life of peace. Like his plan is specifically to, have Kaya killed in a way where he gets the inheritance. But he's not seen as a criminal. He's seen as just a normal guy. Like he doesn't want to be an infamous pirate. So it's a little different, but yeah. But yeah, Simon Butchie, I'm like, is this Zorro's worst fight? Maybe. Like, they're tricky, and it's Zorro fighting tricky guys while handicapped. And, like, Zorro's just tough, and he beats... Well, there's the moments that are where because he protects, Usopp by taking the bullet, the sling bullet, and then they manage to get his swords back to him, so there's more friendship. But like them and the cats were working pretty well together, so it's not like there's a contrast there. It's just like, Zorro's fighting. He's a fight boy.
I like the part where Nami goes to like wake up Luffy, and then he just stands up and just gets the
shock him to the back of the head.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why did you do that, Nami?" And she's like, "I didn't do it."
And then that's how you get Luffy into the fight, because now he's upset because he just got beamed in the back of the head.
Which is good timing because Kuro came back, and it's all stuff's happening. Oh, and Kaya comes in, and she confronts Kuro, and Kuro does not care. You know, he's revealing his true colors. His color is black because Kuro means black.
Yeah, I guess this fight, maybe I was a little disinterested in like the stuff with the peons because Kuro was just kind of standing there. But I mean, like, that's kind of the point.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He was like, because he wants them to die eventually. So, you know, if they fight for him, they're wearing themselves down, so it makes it even easier for you to kill them. So it's like, I mean, that's not...
I mean, like, it makes sense.
It's
just,
like, it's not, like, with... Because, I mean, like, thinking about, like, with Luffy standing by and watching the Zorro... Like, they just watched Zorro and Kabaji fight. Like, and like I said, Luffy acts, so it seems weird that he just stood there and watched the fight when, like I said, that makes takes Luffy the action so often because otherwise he would just fight. So, but yeah, with this it's different. Kuro's not Luffy, so I do like the bit where the kids attack Kuro, like they try to beat the shit out of him. He just like gets up, adjusts his glasses, and completely fucking like Kuro has a bit of presence, like Buggy's very like loud and obnoxious, but Kuro's really the opposite of Buggy. And I actually really like, now I think about it, he's very different from the characters so far because he's not very like, he yells sometimes, but at the same he's very calm in comparison. Like this scene in particular, where he just gets his shovel whacked in his face, and he's just there with the cracked glasses, he's stoic. Yeah, well, he adjusts the glasses and the lenses fall out because they're broken, and he's like, but he just ignores them. He's like, he's more interested in Luffy.
And even then, like, this is where I'm talking about, like, you get the goofy expressions in the serious situation.
Yes, right.
Like the kid's eyes.
Yes. So it's definitely lighthearted, like more so than like Bleach or Naruto, you know. And I like the panel with Kuro holding out his claws, and he's like, I'll kill Luffy. He's like, just the way the claws, like all the tips are hidden outside of the panel. I kind of like that. But yeah, he gives orders. He's like, I'll fight Luffy, you know. Then he orders Django to kill Kaya, but then Buchi's still there. But Zorro eventually beats him, and it happens. Yeah, Zorro fights are kind of weak, generally, as I said. But yeah, I'm not sure if I had anything else to say. Like, Zorro wins, and he carries Usopp off. And Luffy, because I guess Luffy, there's a bit to say about the Kuro stuff, because they fight for a bit, and, you know, there's some neat little things, like, Kuro's just really fast. Well, because, again, it's like Luffy not caring. Like, once, I mentioned it earlier, but, like, once Kuro starts attacking his men, Luffy gets mad, and, you know, he wins, like, immediately. I guess there's also the flashback. Did I have anything else to say about the flashback? I guess I didn't have anything particular to say about the flashback. Like, he kills the Marines, and Captain Morgan's there.
Wait, I already said that was cool.
Yes, exactly, yeah, right. So it's like, yeah, okay, nothing much to say about the flashback. And Kuro he uses his secret technique, and super speeds his way. But, well, that's the thing, is, like, because once, like, Luffy's outsped at first, but then, like, he's still able to, like, match him, like, with right before he used the attack that I'm not going to name because it's the Viz translation. He, like, Kuro appears behind him, and Kuro teleports behind him, and Luffy punches him. Like, he's able to predict where, you know, tell where, like, notice where he goes, and then later on, when Kuro's going really fast, he grabs him. Like, Luffy's able to keep up, even with Kuro going so fast. It's just, like, again, it wasn't until he was mad that he actually, like, did it. And, of course, he grabs Kuro, and the fight finishes. Just alongside Usopp.
I like the part where Kuro's, you know, the people he was just massacring start cheering for Luffy, and he just, like, swings his head back.
Yes, and he's like, I didn't say you could cheer for me, but then that's also part of the attack because it turns into a headbutt, which was cool. And then you get the two pages of the finale of the fight ending.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Good execution.
Like the good impact with the Kuro's head getting knocked back. Like, he's rubber now because he just got fucking wrecked. But yeah, like, I already talked about the ideas earlier. Like, you know, with the pretend pirate who wants to be a real pirate, and the real pirate who doesn't want to be a pirate anymore, and the resolve. It's fine. But yeah, then they decide to keep the whole thing a secret to not worry the town. But Usopp, you know, he decides to like he can be brave. Like there's room in him for a real pirate, and so he decides to stop pretending. Like that's his thing. He wants to stop lying. Like he does continue to lie, but like I guess minor spoiler. He wants to stop. Like he wants to actually be the brave warrior, proud warrior of the seas he thinks he is.
So it's not just like, in this fight he did his thing and there's his character development. Like he's got an arc to go through.
Yes, exactly. Like it's building towards his arc, but he disbands his crew. He's not, there.
You get more goofy emotions.
It's supposed to be an emotional scene.
No, but I mean like exaggerated. I guess.
Of course it is. Yeah.
That's what I guess I meant by like goofy.
Yes.
But like it's good. Like I said, like. I might not be super emotionally invested in the characters at this point, but like I know there's potential there because like this is still I'm feeling a little something. Like I'm
well, but like they get the ship, the Mary, for saving the town, the going Mary, and then the bit at the end where Usopp's like he's like I'm gonna go we're going we're both going on our adventures, and then they're just like get on the fucking boat, and yeah he's the Straw Hat Pirate now. Even though they don't have a name, but they are the Straw Hat Pirates. Spoilers, shit. And then we get Usopp's backstory after the fact, which like still in the same arc, but like not like Nami where it's like later, and not like Zorro where it's like in the middle of the arc, but like after, like right after the action we found out we found out why he was lying the whole time, because he wanted it to come true. Like he wanted his dad to actually come back. So that's his thing. He wants his lies to be truth. So like he wanted to have all those great adventures he talked about Kai about. But I guess that's the thing. It's like he action. He's finally doing stuff now. So yeah, it's good. And Kai wants to be a doctor, and it's good. And that's it. We're done with, in my opinion, the weakest stretch of chapters of One Piece, but it's still pretty good. Still good. Like, I guess if I had to rank them, I would put Romance Dawn, then Buggy, then Kuro, personally. How do you feel?
Probably the same.
Maybe Romance Dawn over Buggy?
Well, yeah, because, like, that first chapter was
really good.
Really
That's
good,
true.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that.
Yeah, okay. Like, I personally think the later stuff is more interesting, and I'm excited to go back to it, but this is still good.
It's really good setup, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, it's weird to see, like, because I feel like his writing and art construction has gotten, like, so much better throughout the series that, like I'm noticing things where it's like, there's him using keeping Luffy out of the action for the first time, and, but yeah, I'm definitely excited to get to the rest of One Piece. No longer live because we're not going to be able to read the rest of One Piece and do another of these. It was hard enough to do this one. So yeah, thank you for watching. Catch you next time for whatever stretch chapter. Bradier and Arlong. Those are the next two arcs we're doing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. We will see you next time. You won't see us, but you'll hear us.
Yes.